ultimately, this work is about being seen and seeing others. This can be very, very, very difficult proposition. If we let ourselves be seen, even by ourselves first, it can create a domino effect that supports us in being in relationships in a way that can be more fruitful. One way to put this is that if I hide myself from you in a relationship, then I can't really be in a relationship with you as who I am. It's not on you for me to be myself. Now, there may be some things that people can do to make it difficult for someone to be themselves. Maybe somebody is negative, says negative things about another person, criticizes them without really understanding what it is that they want and what they're going for. Doesn't take a platinum approach, just thinks that they know what somebody else needs. We do that to each other fairly frequently. And it's not very helpful in relationship. It might be helpful in some cases, but for the most part, it does help to take a moment to just ask, where are you? What does good look like to you? I just noticed I happened to just be standing in front of one of the bookcases. We have thousands and thousands of books in the 10th Dot Library that the founder, Yogi Raj Charles Bates, accumulated over 40 something years. And right behind me is a whole shelf of Bibles and versions of the spiritual texts and the religious texts from several different frameworks and perspectives. And part of the reason that he really spent time with not just the books, but people who have read these books, have been raised with these messages, is because he wanted to take a platinum approach. And in order to take a platinum approach, it took a little time. At the same time, he wanted to be able to be present, as most people do. I'll certainly include myself in that, to be who they are. So the invitation here is to, first of all, do your best not to interrupt someone being themselves. And the way that you get there, if that's important to you, is to not interrupt yourself in being who you are with others. It's sort of a two-sided coin. One definitely engages the other. They exist simultaneously because underneath it is really just the core concept of, am I okay as a human being? Are we okay as who we are? That is not to say that there won't be times when somebody steps out of bounds, violates themselves or another, and we need to step in and help support putting a boundary around that person for whatever period of time helps them get to a place of safety for themselves and others. And for some people, that may be lifelong. But for most of us, it happens in little instances along the way. And our best navigation tool is our own self-navigation tool. And that is how we go into relationships in a productive, healthy, advancing way. When we want to get something done together, it really helps to know who we are at any given moment and how we've changed over time. To let ourselves be seen, first to ourselves and then to others. And don't get me wrong, I do completely understand from my own personal experience how difficult and challenging that can be. I also understand how it can feel like I am and I'm really not. Later, I kind of go, oh, yeah, I was hiding out a little bit there, or I was hiding out a lot there. I'll tell you a personal story. In the 80s, late 80s, I I was having a difficult time in life, and I went to a therapist. It was through insurance, and they gave me this big long test, and the results came out, and I sat down with this therapist, I think 3 times. And after the third time, he told me I, I hid too much for him to be able to work with me, that there was not a way for him to really able to be able to reach me because I was hiding so much. I had no idea what he was talking about, and I didn't believe him. I just thought that he was thought it was too weird or something like that. And later in life, I really did start to, as I started to unpack and get some tools myself and focus in the area of being relational with myself and others, I could start to see what he might have been referencing. I'm not sure because we did not continue that therapeutic relationship, but I could see, I definitely every once in a while get to a place where I'm hiding even from myself. And then there are other times when I am just putting it all out there, and however it plays out is how it's going to play out. So the invitation here is for you to find out where you are on that line and then stretch yourself from wherever you are. And then know that you might be in a different place along that continuum or line at different points in time. Some relationships, maybe you're not as transparent with yourself or others. And in other relationships, you may be fully transparent. Sometimes you might just be all done trying to be yourself, and it's nice to just play with a fantasy of being something else. Go into a dream state and imagine, what would it be like if? What would it be like if? All of those are absolutely part of the human way of being. This work, these tools are about navigating that rather than going into judgmentalness about it. I make the word distinction between judgment and judgmentalness. I don't think I've described this before, and if I have, it won't hurt to repeat it. Judgment is important for us to have. We need to know how to have good, solid judgment. We have to have discernment. We need to know how to discriminate between this and that sometimes. Those are helpful, very helpful skills. That said, we sometimes will over apply them into what I'm referring to when I say judgmentalness. We're trying to take a judgment on something and stop or manipulate something that's really doesn't belong within our own navigational control. Or we are trying to stop ourselves from being ourselves through that judgment of often somebody else's voice. Somebody said to us sometime, or maybe they said it to us 1,000 times, and we began to believe it. And I'll just say that if those messages of judgmentalness are core to the way that you think about yourself or others in relationship, then it will disrupt. And there's an exit strategy. And the exit strategy is to use the tools and find yourself in different situations where you are on the line of how willing you are to be seen, and then stretch it just a little bit. Let yourself be seen so that you can be chosen. Because I can't choose you in a relationship really if you're hiding or if you're not willing to let me see who you are. Then I'm just in relationship with who you want me to see. And I would say that that is what happens a lot in relationships, is we are in relationship with who that person wants to be seen as. You are in relationship with the me that I want you to be, that I want you to see. then if that's all I'm giving you and not really stretching myself into letting you see a little bit more of me and a little bit more of me, then it's going to be difficult for us to be in a relationship that can handle the heat of life, that can be in the kind of crucible relationship that can weather storms, the storms of life, that can even weather more seeing each other. That is exactly why I said, take a little stretch. Take a little stretch beyond what's comfortable. No, you don't have to go all the way over there, because you want to build the crucible that can handle what you can handle. And that is a very individual decision. So, with that in mind, the next setup and the final is around collaboration. That's where we're going next, and that's where we'll conclude.